Episode of Talking Tech. On today's episode, I'm joined by Silatani and Joe McKevitt, founders of Uptime Labs. Thank you for joining me. I suppose maybe as a starting point, you could give us a little background on you guys and how we are, or how we've got here today. It's always good for our viewers to have an understanding of that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nick, for having us here today. So my name is Hamed, software engineer by heart. Always loved it. Started programming at 7 years old. I'm Iranian and moved to UK 24 years ago just to study 1 year of computer science and ended up living here, which I love the city. And I thrive on incidents. I love them. It tells me a lot about how systems fail. That's on me, Joe.
Thank you again, Nick. Thanks for inviting us. It's a pleasure. We're very gracious for the time. So I'm Joe. I'm based in Northern Ireland, a place called Newry. I'm software engineer. I love coding, love software, love working with teams and processes, and all the messy middle stuff is what I love. I used to laugh because Hamid and I have worked together for about coming up to 15 years. But I used to say I ship it and Hamid fixes it, right? So I'd be more on the shipping side of things. But yeah, Hamid and I will be brought in to after the incident. We'll be involved in the incidents, and then after the incident, we'll be brought in. And I was always fascinated about improving how we respond to incident response. The cool thing is I'm doing a startup and I have 5 kids, so it's pretty mad. So not always gets a smile. You got to believe what you do if you start up with 5 kids, right?
Absolutely. Look, and I think you guys are probably modest. I know I've worked and known you guys for a long time, and one of the joys of doing this is I get to speak to people like you that have incredibly knowledgeable, great backgrounds, and come up with an idea like this. So I suppose the sort of kickoff for me is maybe you can tell us about Uptime Labs and what made you start it.
Sure. Maybe Hamid, I'll kick it off. So Uptime Labs really started with us. Both Hamid and I have this story where we join a previous employer, and I had 5 or 6 years experience, and I had the ego of developer, right? I thought I was a good developer. I thought I was good. And then I was given a BlackBerry and said, okay, you're on call for this multi-million-pound trading system. But it's fine. It rarely goes off. You'll be fine, and you can get support and help when you go on. And like 24 hours later, it went off. And I always remember the fear and the scar went in, the mental scar going in. And, the confidence is drained off me, the paranoia, just that, the imposter syndrome of going into that support call and the harsh learnings I had to learn. And really that, I spent maybe 10 years working at the same company and moved up and did a lot of escalation, ended up, architecting and being a key person on support for that company. But I always came back to that scar and said, there has to be a better way to prepare people for a critical incident. So that scar sort of never left me, right? And maybe Hamid, you want to talk about that sort of eureka moment we had?
Yes. I mean, funny enough, if you really want to take it back, the history of Uptime Labs, client server has a part to play, because that's how I met Joe. Joe joined me in IG, where we took responsibility of support of that mission critical platform. So I've been the poor soul holding the BlackBerry, feeling all the pressure and stress of everyone looking up to you to fix that issue, which is costing company thousands and thousands. And I also have been the manager who felt really frustrated why the communication is so difficult during incident, why it's taking so long. So that pain point was always constantly in my mind. Until in 2015, I had a eureka moment. I was in hospital. It was for birth of my son. And just things didn't go as smooth. At some point, a nurse comes in, sees some weird metrics on my monitor on the screen. Something is wrong. Presses a red button. In a split second, that small room was filled with medical staff. They every one of them knew exactly what to do and how to do it. They were not stepping on each other's toes. And 20 minutes later, I was holding my son. And at that point, while most fathers probably will think about the newborn son, it crossed my mind that if they can do it, if they can deal with emergencies so well, then we are missing something within IT industry. So we started going on the journey of looking at safety critical industries and learn what they do to prepare their staff for dealing with emergencies. And became very obvious for me that we have a very unfair expectation on engineers without giving them any skills to expect them to perform exceptionally well during high stress situation. And that was really, the why moment for me to start Uptime Labs.
It's interesting you saying about a eureka moment. It's like a very pivotal point now, because I also get the sense that you're both mentally and physically scarred from the experience you had from that, because you both sort of came up, your eyes widened as you were talking about the Blackberries. So, with that moment, what's Uptime Labs' business mission? What's the horizon look like?
So our mission is to build a reliable digital world. And the reason we left relatively comfortable corporate job, I mean, one reason I didn't know how hard the startups are. Okay, if I knew it, probably I wouldn't started it. But the other reason is we saw this clear pattern that the whole economy is becoming a digital economy. So everyone's life in different aspects will rely on digital services, and availability of those digital services is very, very important. And yet within our industry, the aspect of human skill sets and engineers' ability to deal with emergencies is largely ignored. Okay, we spend millions on monitoring tools. They're second highest line item in every IT budget, apart from staff. But it's still, dealing with emergencies are very expensive and chaotic. And the reason is it's a people's skill set. At the end, it's people who need to use those tools to be able to respond to incidents and fix issues and communicate with each other effectively. And we saw that gap, and we said, okay, we're going to fix that problem. We've been very lucky that coincided with explosion in what AI can do, because leveraging that AI advancement, now we can deliver this realistic incident drills at the scale, which was not possible at all, 4 years ago, if you think about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, just to lean on that. So we start off a place where we're looking at safety critical industries, aviation, medical, fire service, right? And the investment they make in their staff being ready, right? When the incident happens, you're ready to go, right? You've got the skills and you trust. So imagine your fire service turns up if you had a fire and they're like, I'm a bit rusty here. I haven't done this in a while. This is a second. I'll find it. You're not right? Yeah, that's the norm. Or I'm learning on the job here. It's my first one. I'm going to figure this out. Let's bear with me. We'll have a wash up after, or PIR, right? Or post-incident review. That's the norm in IT, right? That's how it works. Right, and it's no secret, I think. Or you rely on the guy at the back of the fire truck who is the legend, right? The hero, right? He knows all the tricks, right? Can you get him in? So, like we've stories of calling people from airports before we go on holidays to come online to help us troubleshoot, right? That's how reliant we were on the heroes, right? So, all joking aside, we take these principles in safety critical systems, things like tailored practice, where you do a drill and you're focused on a specific skill, right? For example, using metrics in an incident. So you're in an incident, you're looking at your metrics and you're able to see using facts rather than opinions, as just an example. And then also the fact that the frequency of the drills is quite important, right? So the idea is that, you're not like done training, like tabletop exercises, for example, which is sort of the norm. If you go into an incident response or your sort of first week training, then you're left on call. It could be 6 months again for your call again. No, you're sharp and ready. You're investing your time. You're practicing that. We take those principles, first principles, and you apply that into the tech world, where you created this like virtual company that you onboard with virtual staff, with metrics and with software and with a product and a tech stack and an architecture, and you sort of get immersed into this like Slack channel. You go into the Slack channel, you meet the characters, and then we start introducing the drills. And we start off with a pretty trivial drills to get you accustomed to the ecosystem, and then we start ramping it up. And that's the experience. That's what we offer. That's our selling point, is this experience back to the customers. And it's really funny watching users. They're totally relaxed, and we keep saying them, it's a sandbox, it's safe. You can do Groundhog Day and repeat it. No one cares. But as soon as the incident starts, people automatically jump and start sweating and start no matter how experienced they are. And it's really funny watching that. So that's sort of our USP, or that's sort of our goal. Is are we selling those drills? And like, it's our secret sauce. We're really happy, 10x better than what you would do in-house.
Yeah.
We sell those drills into companies. So we focus on the staff that they can upskill.
So you answered my next question about USP, and I get I suppose because we're used to, as a society, of, as you said, whether it's fire drills, aviation, terrorist attacks, whatever it might be, like there's more of a drill in place or a process that's been run. This is, in one way, I find it mind-boggling that it doesn't already exist in technology, and especially in the amounts of money involved and the mission critical systems involved. Like, it's extraordinary it doesn't. You've painted a great picture there about the USP and what it looks like. What do you see, obviously, because this is a newer thing in the industry, and as you said, I think you said usually tooling's like second line item on a budget. What challenges, I suppose, what are the big challenges you see about getting into the market, getting people's buy-in? What are the issues right now?
I think two big challenges, or I call it milestone in IT industry, that will enable our adoption of solution like ours. Okay, we are the first one, but it will be many more.
Yeah.
First is IT industry to accept that we are a safety critical industry. Okay, if IT system goes down, I think it was only yesterday or the day before, border service, people can't come in and out of airport, or transport is affected, or money is affected, or lives are affected. So we are a safety critical industry, and we need to behave like one.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big change that has to happen, and has got a lot of implications, because once you accept it, then safety and how to get ready for those emergencies becomes top of the agenda. The second point is, which I start now to see more and more people talking about it, is to accept that incident response and dealing with IT emergencies requires a skill set that are different to what software engineers and even operations staff are used to and have.
Right.
There are special skill set that need to be taught and trained. We looked at over 50 engineers that we kind of categorized as high performance troubleshooters, people who are really good, those key persons that everyone depends on. Yeah. And see the difference, like what differentiates them with other people that during incidents they panic or find it difficult. And we distill that observation into a set of skill sets, yeah, which now we marry it up with the work in academia that has been done in resilience engineering, works of likes of John Olswap. Point being, there is incident response requires the skills that we don't have it out of university, and we need to invest in it and in acquiring those skills. So I see these two really big kind of challenges or milestones ahead of us. Yep. IT accepting that it's a safety critical industries, and incident response is a competency and skills that needs to be taught.
And I suppose it's also a bit like other industries where there's a certified accreditation for X or Y, and that becoming the gold standard of what's expected if you're working in mission critical systems or whatever it might be, would also have a big bearing.
That's actually a very good example. Imagine airlines, they just let a pilot without license in a cockpit. Now look at our IT industries, what it takes for someone to be on a production support. Probably juniors will get it more often because it's not a a good experience. But there's no certification, there's no accreditation, there's no test of, okay, do you possess these skills? And we still leave mission critical systems on hands of those people, which I think is a very unfair expectation on engineers, by the way.
Yeah, completely.
If you think like the manager, say like an operations lead or whatever, who's accountable for incident response, what we try to give them is a different way to basically be confident or have confidence in their readiness. So, for example, yes, we're giving the staff on call that experience, but also it's because it's a simulator. We can measure and track things. So that's something we've spent a lot of time on the last year and a half, and that's we worked with John Osborne and the thought leaders in resiliency engineering around what are we trying to measure here? What does good look like? And we're not talking about incidents that are known incidents. We're in the game of what we call spicy incidents, where there's loads of uncertainty, things are ambiguous, it's unexpected, it's very unclear at the start, and it's very disorientating, right? Because those are the hard ones. Right? These are the SEV 1, SEV 2, mission critical ones where it's just not easy to unpick it, right? And that's where you really need the skill, the difference between 4 hours and 1 hour, right? Yeah. That's when the skills really matter. So what we do is we evaluate that as you're playing, we're evaluating those skills, and we sort of kit that as a set of analytics. We give that back to sort of, both to the user to give them, guidance about where they need to improve, but also you get that capability study back to the sort of the line management, where they can see where the team at. And we all know the team have different strengths and weaknesses. You get that in analytics. Even the simple thing of who's practicing, right?
Yeah.
And sort of we're trying to, I think that's one of the expectations, that there is better ways you can get confidence in your readiness, right? To the point where we have some end users where they actually have specific drills where they might have an issue in the past, and they just want to make sure that learnings is spread across the team. Right, what John Osborne would talk about, grounding and having common ground, which is like you don't lose the knowledge, right? So yes. Things like that we sort of run with as well. But yeah, that's the sort of expectation management, so that you can go on a holiday and be confident the team can support your system, right? Okay, yes. And the final icing on the cake is that certification, right? To sort of motivate staff that we got some of the professional accreditation and incident response.
I was just going to say with one of those things, is it also sounds like, with a lot of the things, it's the quality of the information, the data going in, is you're going to have a library, a bank of these incidents that will grow over time. The more people that get involved, the more process, I guess, and that will become more accurate and more real time, the feedback. And as that grows, I'm assuming the opportunities for people to get accredited above their current skill level will grow as well, I assume.
Yeah, and the exposure also they get to different type of failures. And for the first time, these incidents, we bring them in, we get inspiration from one customer and we share it with everyone else. So everyone can learn from everyone else's incidents. And that's massive, In aviation, it's pretty standard. They do it. In us, we all learn in isolation.
So that I suppose that leads nicely into a question around, because as you said, I think we're used to or expected in aviation. I was about to say, depending on which airlines you fly with, it feels like they don't have a jet ski license, let alone a pilot's license. But there's the expectation of that. Is this sounds like there's so many opportunities ahead. What do you see as like the most exciting opportunities? What do you see as the best opportunities for Uptime Labs?
Maybe I'll start. If I start with maybe the sort of for the folks on call, it's why we all started this, right? You're on call and the expectations about, you're on call and you're not clear what does good look like, and, as Hamid said earlier, your day job is engineering, is the creative process, is delivering software, and you have this other, DevOps culture, maybe the positive DevOps culture, ownership culture in your organization where you want to be on call, you want to do it. But those uncertain, what we call spicy incidents, what does good look like? What's expected of me, especially when I haven't seen this issue before? So our call of action really is go and just take a look. Go and take a look at our platform and get a feel of the drills. You'll find very quickly that you'll easily find out where your strengths and weaknesses are. And what's really cool is that with the simulator, you can just repeat, no drama. You just repeat. Yeah, I learned a lesson from that. Go again, and then okay, that's it. You've learned your lesson, and you move on to the next technique. So putting yourself into that place. It's a simulator. There's no drama. Like on call, you're nervous about getting called. Whereas a simulator, just go and do it. Just go and practice it. No one cares, right? And you can start upskilling yourself.
Yeah.
And then find out, one of the things I took back was when you really learn how good incident management is managed, it really feeds back into how you develop your application as well from the dev side. So There's a really positive flywheel type of thing. And the other aspect is that we love getting incident stories. We call them drill ideas. But basically the way we work is that we really pride ourselves on really good drills. And it's because we take people's incidents, right? We love hearing about incidents, what happened before, take the patterns from that, we spin it up into our simulator, okay? And it's sort of everyone can play it. And there's a lot of creative aspect to it, like writing a screenplay for Netflix. Like we really try to work hard, make it a compelling and realistic, narrative. And then we think about what are the challenges we're trying to trigger here. So, challenges like, one example would be like stakeholder engagement, where maybe the stakeholder has a different mental model of the incident than you have, and they're asking lots of probing questions and interrupting you from actually being able to troubleshoot, right? As an example. And then finally, then is leveraging up the skills that you need, right, to practice, and that's where that accreditation comes in. We call a license to operate. We've got a number of skills. Again, we take inspiration from thought leaders like John Osborne from Resiliency Engineering. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you're really passionate about like incidents and can really think about drills and like what a good drill would be, we're very engaged and very open for that. That we really sort of take that mindset of a community about the better ideas we get from individuals, we build a better drill, right? Which helps people get better experience.
That makes sense.
Yep.
I'll come back to on your question, Nick. From business perspective, we see that area of incident response is getting a lot of attention and investment. A lot of startups are in the last 4 or 5 years being created, mostly around providing tooling to facilitate incident response process, that's where we see a huge opportunity that is still human skills. It's not really the vision that we have is there a gap that is not seen. So, and we are complementary to all these other toolings because people need the skills to use the tools effectively. So the market from our perspective is massively growing. That's very exciting. But our focus is to provide this skills acquisition through these drills at the highest level of quality. So we're doing a lot of work in our AI to improve and increase the realism. And the realism in the drills that we have already today is, by far better than any other competitor out there. There are only a couple of them. And then we are adding other elements of incident response, like so far it's a chat, but there's a voice, there's audio, the team drill, group drill. So a lot of exciting features coming up, and more integration with tools that are popular and used by people like PagerDuty, AppDynamics, New Relic. So we're making this virtual environment more and more real day by day.
I should have actually said we've got a link that we've posted that's got a QR code that if any of our viewers click on, gets them a discount code for an opportunity to do some of the drills and be part of the simulation, which I think is a great thing because, as you said, the more people involved, the more people doing it, the quicker the tool, the product will learn and evolve. And I think I can sense your passion through this conversation as well. Like it's an exciting space to be in, and I think knowing you both from a while ago, I know it'll be a success. And I think from our point of view, being there as support along the journey when whether it's hiring or these types of things is a privilege for us as a business. And I'm excited for what Uptime Labs can do. And maybe what I will ask you both, whether we won't put a time limit on, but maybe we can do another one of these in sort of 12 months time. And if by then you've got enough time to do it, because I'm sure this will have exploded by then, but maybe where you are, and did you expect it to get to where it is?
Yeah, definitely.
That's
Always
awesome.
for you, Nick.
Guys, well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm conscious of I've grabbed a lot of your time already. Thank you very much for joining me. And I know that all of our viewers, all of our followers will love to hear about Uptime Labs. And we'll give them some constant updates as well. But really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having us, Nick, and for the opportunity.